In my trading room, we often use the settle instead of the closing price that we might see on the chart from our data provider. We use the CME settle, which is an RTL token, a real-time language token that isn't available in InvestorRT. However, if you saw the previous video where we set up the session prices indicator to label and place reference lines for our commonly used references on our market profile charts, it only allows for the day close, and I do have a request in that they add the settlement token to that. But in the meantime, I'm going to show how to create a workaround for that, where we can have that immediately. And the first thing that you want to do, though, is to start with the leaving the first 16 user variables open for the session prices indicator. Now I'm going to open this up right here and show you why, because there are 16 places that this indicator may place user variables, and until this is fixed, it does reset and start with the first user variable. By the time they come out with the fix, you've probably already cleared off your first 16 now that we're using for specifically this indicator, so you won't have to do anything. But I did bring it to their attention that this does seem to be, I did some tests, and it does seem to be resetting back to the first one no matter what I place it on. So if I want to start at 36, next time I open my charts, this would be back to 1. Not a big deal. They'll fix it, unless I'm doing something wrong. But then they'll point that out. But anyway, so right now there's no place here for the settle, okay? And another thing, there's no place for the overnight midpoint or overnight halfback. So I'm gonna show how to do that as well. This video might be a little involved for some of you, but if you just take it slowly and go step by step, it's piece of cake, okay? There's nothing you can't do piece by piece. So the first thing, again, as I'd mentioned, that I want you to do is to go into your user variables and make sure that the first 16 you have reserved for the session prices indicator, because we're going to start with number 17. Now, if you have number 17 and 18, because we're going to use both of these today with something else, you're going to have to figure out where that's being calculated from and go and reassign the user variable that your calculations are placing the value into somewhere else. Just free up the first 18. That's the upshot here, okay? So, and I need to do that myself. Now, some of these I have labeled. Some of these, I lost it just a moment. Some of these I have labeled, and these were from previous, workings in InvestorRT. Like, for example, I've got previous month's high, previous month's low. I also have that down here. So one of these I'm not using, or I shouldn't be using, because it's going to be the same value either one. So I did that for some reason. At any rate, I need to make sure that this isn't the one I'm currently using and reassign it if I want to use it for something else, is what I'm saying. So again, the point is clear out the first 18. Okay. Even if we're only using 7, 8, or 9 of the ones in the session prices, you never know. You may want to add those for some reason. Okay. All right. So let's go back into our chart here that you saved. I just called this the level setter chart. I think this is the chart I used in the video previously when I demonstrated the RTX. And if not, you can start with a new chart. But I recommend using the one with the session prices on, because to calculate the settle and the overnight halfback, you're going to need to run a custom indicator on a chart, okay? And the settle, anyway, will be a one-time thing. So this is, even if you're opening the chart and closing it, it'll be a one-time thing. If you're opening and closing for the overnight halfback, generally, you're going to want to wait till the open, but more often than not, you'll have the range in by the time you're probably ready to open the chart and close it before the open even. Sometimes they're making new highs or new lows right into the open, but the halfback is probably already in place. So, all right, let's start with the overnight settle. Excuse me. No, we're not doing that one. Let's start with the settle. All right, so I'm going to right click. First thing we want to do is we want to draw a reference line. Okay, so let's right click, draw, hit horizontal reference line. Just place it on the chart. Doesn't matter where. Okay. Next, double click on the line. This will open up the preferences. The next thing you want to do is you're going to go down to this radio button. I I used to call it radial because it's round. I don't know, it's radio, I guess. But anyway, the radio button here, use CI, that stands for custom indicator. Now you don't have this custom indicator built yet, and we're going to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is, all right, rather than, all right, I'm thinking on the fly here. Go ahead and hit cancel. Okay, close that out. Your reference line should still be on the chart. What I want you to do is come up to the little plus, equals, times, division button up here. Okay, and click on that, and this will open up the RTL custom indicator setup. Now, what you want to do is go to historical data. That'll reduce the number of these tokens that you need to scroll through. Scroll down to, all right, scratch that. You don't. I thought it was in historical. Maybe it's in fundamental. Okay, let's see. What I'm looking for is the settle, and it's not in there either. Okay, let's see. Primitive. Maybe it's in primitive. All right, you want settlement price. It's in primitive data tokens. It's been a while since I've scrolled through these in this way. I usually use, when I'm lately, I pretty much use the either my favorites or the technical indicator. Okay, so you want to highlight settlement price, go to this little equal arrow sign and hit right. So that pops it over here in the tokens, and this is a box that shows you what tokens that you are currently using in your formulas. All right, so now that we've pulled that in there, if you drop down here in the tokens and functions in the middle left hand corner, you should see it right here. So if you click on it, it'll just pop it in there. All right, so you pop it in there, and there's the settle. So we can save this now as you know, an indicator that's going to calculate or pull in the settlement value. Now that's not going to do us a lot of good unless well, actually, well, let me show it to you this way. This is going to be a side lesson here. I'm going to hit save as, and I'm going to put settle. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. I may already have one titled this, but let's see. Okay, I guess not. Okay, I'm going to hit settle. Okay, now I can go ahead and close this. We're done there. All right, so now let's go back to our reference line. I'm going to select the radio button for use custom indicator. I'm going to open it up. I don't know, I can't remember if there's any default custom indicators in there. So if you've not done any of these, there may be nothing, or it may go right to the settle. You can see I've made a few in my time. Okay, so I'm gonna hit, I found settle. Okay, this is the one we just put in there, right there. See it? Click on it. Okay. Now I want to show you. It looks like this yellow bar here. Looks like the close of it is about 42.50. That's where the data close. That's where the close would be. Okay. So if I pull in a market profile chart, you can see the data puts an asterisk right here, 42.50. Let me make this a little more detailed. Whoops, going the wrong way. Okay, 42.50. I'm going to put a line here. Oh, I can't believe it. I don't have any lines on this chart. All right, so 42.50. I'm going to leave the asterisk for now. Okay, so now if I hit apply, boom, it popped it up. Now we don't have today much of a difference, at least one that makes much of a difference. The settlement from the CME was 42.75. Not much difference. So one thing that you're going to see is if you want to have, I personally am going to keep the day close and the settle, both of them. Okay. Maybe I'll change my mind later, but I will keep both of them. Sometimes there'll be more of a difference. All right. So you notice there's no label here. Okay. So you want to type a label up here in the box. Settle. I don't care to really see the price. I can see it right here. It doesn't matter. I'm going to hit apply. So you can see it put the settle price here. Now, because I just want to stay consistent with all this other stuff, I kind of want it to highlight the price. So I'm going to check down here, label current value. I'm going to apply. Now it just colored it the same color as the line. You can change the line color, anything you want, by clicking here. All right, so one of the things in these videos, and one reason they're longer, is that there are a lot of little side lessons that I'm trying to convey. It'll save you support tickets. It'll save you frustration later. It's sort of, kind of getting instead of going just directly to the one thing and just do this, this, and this, and you've got it. There's lots of little things that help bring you up to speed on some other aspects that make going forward easier. May make watching the videos a little slower, especially if you already know them, but in the meantime, it'll save a lot of people a lot of headaches and a lot of questions and things like that. So bear with me, please. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, okay, now that we have this in here, if you still got your reference, your indicator preference box open, keep it open. If you don't, please open it again. So next thing, we're going to go back and we're going to change this indicator because we cannot put this reference line on here using a custom indicator directly. We can't right click, go to preferences, and we can't do the same thing on the mark profile type charts. Okay, so we're going to go to edit. Now this is how we do it. Okay, you're going to type set parentheses, open parentheses, V pound 17, and then you're going to put you're going to leave that. Well, if you did like I did, you put settle right there. So just right click at the end of the settle and the E and put close parentheses. Okay. Now if I click this, okay, I've changed this custom indicator. I just want to show you something, okay, for future reference. If I hit save, that reference line is going to disappear. Watch, it's gone. Why did it disappear? Because this custom indicator is not putting a value or creating a value that it's well, let me say it this way. All this custom indicator is doing is putting the settlement value into vpound 17. Okay, it is not the settlement value. To make it the settlement value, we need a new basically program line or command line or whatever. And there's a couple ways I could do this. I could put and type settle again. Remember, that's how we did it before. Just is the RTL token for the settle. Okay, and settle. Okay, that would work. So if I hit save, could do that. Okay, no, that doesn't work. Because that's an arithmetic value or expression. All right, so actually that's not how I was doing before. This is the second thing I wanted to show you. Apparently I can't do it because set is not part of a function like that. I use and as a connector in many things. So scratch that. That was not correct. All right, this is how you want to do it. You want to put a semicolon, or not semicolon. Yeah, a semicolon. Okay, and settle. So what this basically does is ends this line and starts this one. So now if I put save, boom, our line's back. Okay, see? So there you go. There's your custom indicator for the settle. Okay, so we can just close this. Now we want to do the overnight halfback. Okay, we're going to go through the same process. So I'm going to right click. Okay, draw a reference line. Just put it anywhere. Double click on it. What you can do now, okay, is go to use custom indicator, find settle again. Just showing you another way of doing this, okay. You can go back and start with a fresh one, but go to edit, okay, and we're going to. I want you to take this out of here because we're not using this again. We want to make it a distinct indicator, okay. So we're going to take this out of here, and we're going to take the vpound 17 settle out of here, okay, and we're going to go to set to vpound 18, okay. Now I got to think for a second. What am I going to put in here? So we want the overnight range. We want the midpoint of that, and let me think for a second how I want to do this, because there are there's a couple things. This might get a little tricky. So I'm going to have to put session statistic indicator. I know I'm going to need that. I may need to pause the video for a second, kind of think this through so I don't waste your time as I'm going through this. So session statistics, try to say that fast, man. Session statistics indicator. So highlight it, go over here, okay? Now, you notice I already have one that says halfback energies. So I've done this before. It's not my first rodeo, but it's been a while, so it's kind of going to be like that. So I'm going to hit OK, all right? So now as soon as you close that, okay, just hit OK, on the default, whatever it is, all right? What you're going to do is drop this down and go to midpoint of range, okay? Boom, midpoint of range, and you're going to uh, go to the select all, okay, all minutes of the session. Now here's where we make a distinction, okay? We go down to ON session. This is cool. This was not here before, by the way. I'm going to put overnight session. Now you could go to sub session, and it's going to give you a couple options here. And I recommend probably using this because, especially since I'm in uncharted territory here, this is a new thing, this ON session. Unless, I don't know if that's something I created and it pops it in here. I don't know. If you see ON session, then it's through InvestRT has it in there. Great. We can try it. Well, I hesitate to do that because if this isn't right. So, because see, the overnight session, they might be starting it at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time and running the runoff, and including that. Or let me think, how would they do that? 6 p.m. to no, let's try it. I think they do start at 6 p.m. So it'll start at 6 p.m. Because that's when I want to start it. I don't want the runoff in this, is what I'm saying. I just want the overnight range from 6 p.m. onward up to the morning. Okay, so there it is. We're calculating midpoint of range, all minutes of the overnight session. Okay, so we want to replace settle with session statistics. But before we do that, this helps in the to go click in this white box up here where it says SESST and rename it. It's very helpful to do this. Believe me, if you make any indicators and do anything with this down the road, it's a lot better to have notes, good notes, right? Good notes make good science. I don't know if that's a real. I just made that up. I'm sure it does though. Good notes are good for pretty much anything. All right, session statistic indicator, and this is our overnight halfback, overnight HB. I'm gonna know what that is. Okay, I'll know what it is. If I die, nobody else will know, but I'll know. Okay, all right. So now what I want to do is I'm gonna highlight settle because I want to get rid of this, and then I'm gonna drop down this box and I'm gonna select. Down at the bottom now is SESST overnight halfback. Boom, it popped it right in there. Okay, so this is going to set the midpoint of the range at user variable 18, and then I'm going to highlight settle here. I'm going to drop down and I'm going to select it here. So we've done the same thing. Now this is very important. Don't hit save. If you hit save, you just change settle to this one. We want a new one. Okay, so we want save as. We're going to put I'm going to put ONHB. That's overnight halfback to me. That I know what it is. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. Okay, and it changed the name up here automatically. Okay, all right. So just go ahead and cancel out of there. Okay. Now at this point, I'm going to close this. I can't remember how I arrived here, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to double click on our reference line that we created. I just popped it in here on the chart. I'm going to double click on it. Open the preferences again. Maybe I didn't click. There we go. Okay. I'm going to check the radio button, use CI, use custom indicator. I'm going to go down and I'm going to find ONHB. And you are going to likewise find whatever. There's ONHB. There it is. Okay. Now I'm going to hit apply. We'll see where that comes into. It may be off the screen. So I'm going to hit apply. All right. Looks like the overnight halfback was at 51.38. All right, well, the ES is in quarters. That's not right. It's not 51.38. Okay, so here's what you do. So you come into your label current value and you check that, okay? And then you go to, well, there actually might be a couple ways to do this. If you don't want to label the value, I think when dragging around to, let me try this. I think just go force right here. Change this to force and hit apply. And it changed it, it rounded it up to 51.50. Okay, you really couldn't tell much difference in it moving. It didn't move, it's 51.50. Okay, but I also like to put label current value. So I change the format here to, because if I don't change label current value, I'm pretty sure it's going to say 3136 or whatever, or 3138 over there. So I'll show you. Oh, maybe not. Okay. All right. So yeah, it went to the quarters. That's good. All right. So you don't even have to check this box. Label current value, when having it rounded to force, and there you go. Now we don't have a label, and I like my overnight stuff to be in purple. It's just my thing. I kind of like it. All right. So that I know that level is overnight, and I'm going to put O half. That's the, I don't know how, that's not what I was using before. I don't know how I like that, but that's what I'm using for the overnight halfback, and that's what I sent into Linsoft to for um, the RTX session prices indicator. You can change the label in there if you hate it, that's fine. But when this lines up with halfback of the day, let's say it lines up, you'll see overnight half and then half. So you'll have two halves there. All right, so that's how you do the overnight halfback, okay, on this chart. Now, what did we want to do? We wanted to put it on our market profile chart. So I'm pulling in market profile here, okay. You can see the close was at 42.50. We want to now, okay. All right, I just realized something else. Okay, so this is not going to be a problem. But if I, oh, I see why we couldn't see the line, because it's black. It's black. See, these kind of things can really throw you off. You'll have a little something up. Like I thought. Now I know I just created this market profile chart. Okay, so I didn't think I used all the reference lines in here, and the reason is the coloring was black. So if I change it to, I thought I was missing a line. I would have easily discovered that, because even if I had too many lines, I'd had to come in here anyway. However, there are oftentimes many, when you're doing things with the software, you're like, what is wrong? This is screwed up. It's broken. Something, and actually, it's not that at all. It's that we've got something off somewhere in our settings, or something that we've done. It happens a lot. Humans versus machines, man versus machine. Okay. All right. I'm gonna hit OK, and then I hit apply. And there's the line. And the reason I put that there is just to make it a little more clear, because when we do put the little white dotted reference line here, it'll show up at 42.75. All right, now I don't want to say I screwed up here or something, because that's not the case. I just wanted to, and I don't mind doing this on this chart, and I don't mind having, I know how to manage my reference lines fairly well, to where I have all I need, even when I'm having ones that are constantly being calculated. So in this case, if you did, well, hopefully you did use VPound 17 and 18, okay? So what you want to do is you're going to put VPound plus 1, because we're only using 2. Now, this video is kind of assuming you've already seen the session prices indicator, but for those who didn't, you should watch it. But I will show you. VPound is where you're starting. That's the user variable you're starting, and that is going to be the value you put in here. So we're putting a VPound 17. And we want VPound 17 and 18, so it's VPound, which is this one, plus 1. So VPound 17 and 18, that's what you got. All right, so I'm going to change these to the white, dotted thing. And if I wanted to make them separate colors, I would have to make it, and I'm going to do that for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that, because I do like them separate. But if I hit this, you'll see those values right now on the chart. Okay, so you got the settle right here. It's a little off. Now this isn't that important right here, but I'll tell you what, if the settle was up here and the data close was down here, the CME shook it out and it came out up here, we want to know that, because some people are using the settle. All right, VPound 17, and then overnight half looks like it's, oh, here's what we want to do, okay? Settle, the settle already has its own labeling, okay? But the custom indicator one we didn't does not. So we want to go back to here, and I was using this for something else. I was using for the overnight POC, which now we don't have to, because this is being used by the I see we have overnight VPOC at number 7. At least on mine it's number 7 from the session prices indicator. So I'm going to put O half. All right, I hit apply, And now it changed the labeling to that. Whoops, I put 0 half. Let me put, oh. All right. There it is, 5150. Van Halen. Okay. All right, so that's taken care of. Now let's say you want them different colors. All right, I do like the overnight to be purple, so I'm actually going to put this. I don't even need a label here. If I hit apply, or maybe I do. Yeah, V pound 17. Yeah, because this is the label. So you want to pull the label from what is in there. So V pound 17, or I could type settle. Wait a second. All right, I just learned something. Okay, if you're not doing the V pound plus something, it's going to give you, it's going to label it according to what you've put in the box. So I do need to type settle. Okay, so I hit settle. That's settle. All right, maybe I don't need it capitalized. Okay, now the overnight, I want this one purple, and I'm going to type again, overnight half. Let me try something. If I put V pound 18, I thought it would pull the label in from there. Let me see. No, it doesn't. Okay. Let me uncheck this. That didn't do it either. Okay. All right. So yeah, in this case, because I'm not doing multiple V pounds where this is set up to pull in the label, I didn't realize this. I've got to type in the label for an individual user variable. So I got to type it again. Nevertheless, you do want it labeled in your V pound variable list, so you know what in the world it is. Okay. So overnight half. I'm going to hit this. I found if I make them dotted, I can have a lot of lines on here, and it's not too distracting. It sort of breaks it up for me. Okay. All right, there you go. So there's your overnight halfback. Let's test it out. Doesn't look right. Well, actually, I think it is, because right now it's counting, because today is on the weekend, it's Sunday, and it's counting this as halfback. Now, that brings us back to how we're calculating this, and I wasn't sure about it. I don't like it. Maybe it would be fine if I did this during the week and it showed me it was working properly, but I'm not confident. So I'm going to go in here to the overnight halfback. I'm going to edit this. Okay. I want to go back to that session statistics indicator, and I'm not going to use this overnight session anymore. I don't like it. Something about it bothers me. Okay. So here's another lesson that you might get here. So I'm going to go to subsession. I don't want I want to take a subsession out of the 24-hour session. So the first subsession it defaults to is the regular trading hours, 9:30 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. I want to go from 6 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. So you may not have one in there. Okay, I've created one, and I'm going to show you how to create one. So I've got one that's 6 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. Sunday through Friday. So I'm going to click this. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to hit save. And that should fix it up for me. I'm waiting for this to change. And it may be a problem. The problem may be because it's on the weekend. That's why it hasn't changed yet. It sort of has dropped off looking at this prior overnight session. Let me show you. Well, I can show you over here. Right now, the only thing in its back, it's waiting for the new overnight session to start Sunday through Friday, because today is Sunday, but it's not 6 p.m. yet. So bear with me, okay? Nevertheless, I'm recommending you do it this way, and this is the second lesson, okay? So you want to go to Preferences, which is the little gear up here, and you want to go to Sessions. And we're going to create a new session. So if you don't have a 6 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. session, go New, and then call this your overnight session. I'm going to put ES in here. I may already have one in here, so I'm just labeling it ES. I'm hit OK. Okay, so your number, mine just labeled it 65 because I previously had 64 in here. You may have a different number. All right, doesn't matter. Make sure it's on your time zone. Okay, should have defaulted to your time zone. I'm going to have the start time be 6 p.m. This is very important. It's easy to get these turned around. Okay, 6 p.m. and I'm going to have it stop at 9:30 a.m. You know, I don't want to say 9:29 because a lot can happen in 30 seconds. And okay, yeah, it's making that ding for no good reason. But 9:30. Well, I know why it is because actually no, I don't. I think it has something to do with these being the same. So let me hit AM. Okay. Let me see if it dings again. I'm just curious. No, that's right. That's what was causing it. Okay, so you know you didn't. It kind of wants you to have these separately, or I mean alternating. All right, so it starts at 6 p.m. and stops at 9:30 a.m. We know that the Globex session starts at 6 p.m. Sunday evening, so we want to run it all week, and it, you know, the last overnight session for that week is going to be, it's going to end at 9:30 a.m. Okay. Um, as far as, well, I will go ahead and check this. This was a newer feature, but I'm going to put the check this in here. I don't know what it's really doing or helping, or maybe it actually just sets the post time for us, but gonna leave that go. Now, we have daylight savings time here. I've never had a problem with this, or may fill it in on its own, but I don't really fill this in. I guess we are coming up on March 13th, so maybe I should put it in there. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. I'm going to hit apply. You don't have to, but if you have problems later, that's probably why. Okay, so again, I'm doing this improv. All right, so bear with me. This is something I kind of want to send in and ask, but intuitively, I believe I should probably, you know, we experience daylight savings time here, and it's, if you do as well, then you want to check this, and I believe it's going to default to your local standard time. I'm going to hit apply. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. Now the new session you created will pop up at the top, but later it'll be back down in numerical order. So I'm going to hit OK. All right. So I'm going to come back to my custom indicator, and the overnight is the one we wanted. And we want to go to Edit. We want to go to Session Statistics Indicator. By the way, I think I told you to do this before. If you want to know how to open up the settings for that RTL token, let me back up. You place your cursor, if you will. It's like, it looks like a little capital I, very thin, right inside the white box. Right click, and it opens that up. All right. So midpoint of range, all minutes of subsession. I had here 62, you know, but I just created 165. So I'm gonna go down and grab the new one I created and show you. 6 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. Sunday through Friday. Okay. So I'm actually going to go back to the way I had it for my sake, and then put that in there. Hit save, and there you go. And tomorrow morning, you should see it in the proper place. Now, for those in my room, if you don't, I'm sure you'll let me know. I would hope you let me know. As we can see from the market profile chart, the overnight midpoint, the prior overnight midpoint was right here at 58.25. We're showing 51.50. That's because of where we are in the time cycle. We will be back on track after 6 p.m. tonight. In fact, if you want to know if it's working tonight, if you happen to see this video, just open it up, open up this chart, and it should be tracking right along with the range in real time. I kind of think the session statistics are, I'm sorry, the session prices RTX, for some people, it might be a heavy duty indicator because it's calculating these things. It does space out the time. It doesn't calculate every millisecond. It doesn't need to, so it calculates fairly infrequently relative to some other ones. But if you're experiencing any lag, any problems, you might need to either, you know, have this as a chart that you only open up at a certain time, or you might want to consider getting a new computer, or you might want to consider upgrading your RAM or your CPU or something. For most people, upgrading the RAM is pretty much the option. Changing out your CPU, that's another involved thing. All right, so thank you for hanging with me, and I hope you learned something, and I hope this helps with your preparation and setup for every day, easing the burden a little bit, and making things a little clearer on how to use the software, and so on and so on. All right. Okay, 35 minutes. Tends to be about what they average out to. All right, thank you very much.